Good evening, fellow creeps, and welcome back to another episode here on Creepy with Coffee. I'm Kim, your storyteller. Tonight, I've put together 3 chilling stories, real experiences from storytellers who found themselves facing the unknown while on the road. Some journeys are planned, some journeys are decided for us by forces unseen. From getting hopelessly lost on deserted streets to meeting strangers whose directions led to far darker places, these are stories where reality slipped and something else crept in. This isn't just about getting lost, it's about getting found by things you never wanted to meet. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's dive into these eerie tales of journeys that took a terrifying turn.
This is Creepy with Coffee.
This story isn't just about the sender experiencing something eerie. Her husband and child witness it too. As always, treat what you're about to hear as entertainment. Don't be too quick to believe, and don't become too obsessed. Alright? Let's begin. This incident happened to me in January 2019. It was evening, and I just finished praying Maghrib at home when I received a call from my hometown. My grandmother had passed away. My hometown is in Pahang, while I live in Johor. At first, I felt strangely reluctant to return home. I didn't know why, but there was a heavy feeling in my heart. Still, knowing this was my last chance to kiss her forehead and cheeks one final time, I pushed those feelings aside and prepared for the journey. It was raining heavily that night, as if nature itself was trying to stop me. But I didn't care. I was determined to go. We set off from Tiram, Johor, my family and I driving toward Pahang under the heavy downpour. At first, even though the rain was intense, my husband could still clearly see the road and oncoming cars. But as we traveled further, somewhere along the way, though I can't recall exactly where, the rain grew so heavy that visibility dropped sharply. It was pitch dark ahead. We couldn't see any other cars on the road. It felt as if ours was the only car left in the entire world. My husband slowed down, cautious, trying to avoid any accidents. My youngest child clung to me, scared by the eerie atmosphere. And suddenly, my eldest child, only 5 years old at the time, spoke up. "Mommy, there's a grandma outside the car." My husband and I froze. I quickly told him to lie down and sleep, but he didn't. He kept staring out of the window, eyes wide open. Was he still seeing that grandma? When we reached Endau, the rain finally began to ease. We arrived safely, thankfully, at about 12:45 a.m. We pressed on toward Pahang, entering the area of the Orang Asli villages near Rompin. Orang Asli here, it's the Aboriginals. This is around 3 a.m. That stretch of road felt unnaturally cold. Sure, it had been a chilly night already, but this cold was different, bone deep and unsettling. My child started shivering uncontrollably. As we drove through that lonely stretch, I suddenly caught sight of something strange. Through the darkness, a long white cloth floated between the trees, swaying and dancing in the wind. I was staring transfixed when my husband suddenly slammed on the brakes. I jolted forward in my seat, heart racing. "What's wrong?" I asked. He said he saw an old man crossing the road, but when we looked around, there was no one there. Thankfully, no car was behind us, or we could have been hit during the sudden stop. After calming down, we continued the drive. My husband sang softly to shake off his drowsiness, but midway through a song, he went silent. That's when the fear started creeping up my spine once again. Then, the both of us, my husband and I, we both heard whispers, faint but clearly, a woman's voice whispering, telling us not to return to the village. We couldn't see anyone inside the car, yet the whisper lingered, echoing in our ears. It was terrifying. Thankfully, we finally reached Kuantan safely. We stopped for subuh prayers at Permatang Badak. It was only then my husband told me something even more chilling. While driving through Brompin earlier, he had glanced into the rear view mirror and saw someone staring intently at him from the back seat. He didn't tell me at the time, afraid it would scare me even more. At the mosque, he chatted with an elderly man. Oddly enough, without my husband even explaining why we were travelling, the man said, "Well, be careful on your journey. There are things that don't want you to go home." I don't know why, but it was strange and unnerving to hear that. Well, in the end, we made it to my grandmother's house in time. I managed to see her face to say my final goodbye. But after that night, my family and I vowed never to travel back to the village at night again. For 7 years, we had made the same journey at night without issue. But that night was the first, and hopefully the last time, something so terrifying happened to us. Have you ever been on a dark, empty road where you just knew something wasn't right? If you have, I'd love to hear a story. Well, now let's get on to the next story. Now imagine being lost in a foreign country in the dead of the night with no way to call for help. What would you do if your GPS stopped working and something else found you instead? Now the next story, Jalan Bangi Lama. I've always heard stories about Jalan Bangi Lama being one of the most haunted roads in Malaysia. It was just stories to me until I personally experienced it. This happened in 2008 when I was pursuing my diploma in education in Bangi. That night, I had gone to meet a friend at Alamanda Putrajaya. We met up around 8:30 p.m. and ended up chatting until the mall closed. It had been a while since we last saw each other, so of course there was so much to talk about. We talked about things that happened to us in school last time. We talked about our parents. We talked about our siblings. Well, we talked about our crush. Before we knew it, it was closing time. After saying goodbye, I headed back to my hostel at UKM, located in Jalan Reko, Kajang. Back in 2008, I wasn't very familiar with the roads around Putrajaya. To make things worse, my phone back then didn't have Google Maps or Waze like we do now. So I just simply followed the road signs that pointed towards Kajang. I kept following the signs until I suddenly found myself on the road I didn't recognize. There was a sign that said, "Turn left for Kajang." So I did. Like I said, I was just following signs. The moment I turned left though, something felt off. Still, I comforted myself by thinking, it's fine, this road leads to Kajang, at least that's what the sign says, right? The road was pitch dark. Only my headlights lit the way. Once in a while, there would be street light, but mostly it was just darkness. At that time, I didn't even realize that I was on Jalan Bangi Lama. I just prayed that I reach Kajang as quickly as possible. There were barely any cars around. Actually, it felt like there was no car at all. As I drove, it felt like I had been on the road for an eternity. It seemed like Kajang was never getting any closer. I had the radio off, and that is when I started reciting Ayat Kursi over and over, praying for protection. Especially since that uneasy feeling inside me was growing stronger. While I was focused on driving and hoping to get to Kajang soon, something slammed hard onto my car roof. "Woi!" That was my reflex. I shouted "Woi!" instead of saying any prayer. I don't know why, but yeah, instantly my hair stood on end and my heart raced. I darted my eyes to the side mirrors and rear view mirror and whatever it's around me, trying to see if someone had fallen onto the road. But it was pitch black. I couldn't see anything at all. That loud bang happened just once, then silence. But then something even stranger happened. A sweet floral scent filled the car. Now I already had an air freshener in my car, but this scent was different. Well, it wasn't the usual smell. I repeated in my heart, please don't be inside my car, please don't be inside my car, please don't be inside my car. Because I knew the old tales. Sudden sweet smells could mean a supernatural presence nearby. I started to recite Ayat Kursi again, but this time my voice was stuck, or I couldn't remember Ayat Kursi properly, and whatever it is, fear was slowly taking over. And then I heard a voice coming from the back seat. It was whispering words I couldn't understand. Soft but clear. At that moment, my fear was beyond anything I have ever felt before. Sweat was pouring down my forehead. I didn't dare glance at the rearview mirror. In my heart, I just kept begging, please let me reach Kajang. Please, just let me reach Kajang. The whispering, however, continued. Mumbling things I couldn't make sense of, not even a word. Finally, I saw familiar surroundings. Street lights became more frequent. Other cars started appearing around me. I recognized the place. I was back where I usually hung out. And just like that, the voice disappeared. The strange scent faded away too. I breathed a heavy sigh of relief. Thank God nothing touched me, only voices. But still, I was scared out of my mind. The next day, out of curiosity, I looked up the road that I had taken. Turns out, it was Jalan Bangi Lama. Reading through people's experiences online, I realized many others had encountered terrifying things there too. I never thought that back in 2008, I became one of the road's many victims. Honestly, I'm just grateful nothing showed itself. If it had, I probably would have crashed the car from sheer terror. It's crazy, right? Sometimes getting lost feels a lot less random and a lot more like you're being led somewhere. Have you felt like something unseen was guiding you while you are traveling? Now, on to the last one. Buckle up, because our final story tonight will make you think twice about every late night drive you take. Are you ready for one more? Now, which way is it? Just go straight ahead. Just go straight ahead and then turn left. That's the way to Juanda, said an elderly man I approached after getting lost in Surabaya, trying to find my way back to the hotel. It all started when my friend Marwan and I took a vacation to Surabaya. We never even thought of renting a car because services like Gojek and Uber are so reliable in Indonesia. But after I got scammed by a Gojek driver during a visit to the Sempurna Kretek cigarette factory, well, the ride was supposed to cost only 25,000 rupiah. But since I was a foreigner, he raised it to 35,000 and even threatened me if I didn't pay. Well, that's not the story I want to tell. The real story that happened the night before I was due to fly back to Malaysia. Well, you see, my friend Alan invited Marwan and me out for dinner at Rumah Makan Rawon Setan. After dinner, Alan took us sightseeing by car through beautiful spots like Jembatan Suramadu and Taman Pelangi. After almost an hour of enjoying the city at night, I drove Alan back home. It was already 11:45 p.m. by then. I was exhausted And it has been the whole day, and I was sleepy. As soon as Alan got off the car, Marwan immediately started snoring in the passenger seat. Poor guy, he hadn't been able to sleep on the train earlier, I said to myself. Marwan, sorry to bother you. Can you turn on the waves for me? I'm not sure the way back to hotel. Yeah. Hold on. Here you go. You better don't disturb me after this. He grumbled, adjusting his sweater before dozing off again. In 3 kilometers to the left, you're on the fastest route, Waze announced. I drove calmly and carefully. After all, it was my first time driving outside of Malaysia. In 500 meters, turn right. Wait, turn right? There was no junction. I assumed Waze must have lost signal or was giving wrong directions. I kept driving, thinking it would reroute or recalculate soon. My plan was simple, just head towards Jalan Airport. My hotel was near there. I followed the train tracks and the airport signs as my guide, but after driving almost 15 kilometers, the airport signs disappeared. I pulled over, scratching my head in frustration. Waze was now telling me to make a U-turn in 1 kilometer, but the road ahead seemed endless and empty. I thought about calling Alan. He was a Surabaya native after all, but it was already very near to 1 a.m. in the morning. I didn't want to disturb her at that hour. Forget it. I'll just keep going, I thought to myself. That decision led me into a rural village after Waze instructed me to turn. Honestly, I had no idea what road I was on. All I knew was the area was bustling, lots of locals walking or riding bikes in the dim light. Where the heck am I muttered, glancing at Marwan, who occasionally mumbled in his sleep. Useless friend, leaving me alone in this kind of situation. I was sweaty and sticky from not showering the whole day. I slowed down and decided to ask someone for directions. Under the dim glow of a street light, I spotted a group of older men gathered at a coffee shop playing checkers. Permisi pak, how do I get to Hotel Kemuning? I asked. Oh, you Malaysian, right? Easy. Just follow this road all the way until the last junction. Turn right, one uncle said. I thanked him and confidently followed his direction. At that point, I completely ignored Waze. But after turning right, what the heck is this? I found myself in an abandoned village. To my left, a graveyard. What kind of prank is this, old man? I drove slowly, hoping to find a way out to the main road. The village was pitch dark. Not a soul, not a single soul in sight. And eerily, no cars passing by either. One. Wake up. One. Help me, one. I shook Marwan's arm. Run, just use the Waze lah. I'm really tired, he muttered without even opening his eyes. Now, 1:30 a.m. and I was still lost trying to find the hotel. Suddenly, Marwan's phone shut off. Battery dead. Well, there goes Waze. My phone was useless since I didn't buy an Indonesian SIM card. I was officially screwed. As I kept driving aimlessly, I finally spotted a sign. Jalan Airport. Alhamdulillah. Relief flooded over me. I stepped hard on the gas, the Toyota Avanza speeding down the road. But why am I entering the Malang highway? Well, Malang is a city, but far from Surabaya. I pull over again, for who knows how many times. Exhausted and disheartened, I look into the rearview mirror. Astaghfirullah. There, on the back seat, was a long-haired figure. Cold sweat started dripping down my back. What test are you giving me, Ya Allah? Forgive me, Ya Allah. I promise I'll tell my mother where I'm going the next time, Ya Allah. Honestly, I did not tell my parents about this trip. Well, I was afraid they wouldn't give me permission. Shaking, I turned back into the main road. Even now and then I glanced nervously at the rearview mirror, scared the figure would still be there. But suddenly, I slammed the brakes. A motorbike was blocking the road. The road looked wet, as if it had been drenched in blood. As if a horrible accident had just happened. But where was the biker? I screamed, Allahu Akbar, and drove off without looking back. Strangely, through all this, my friend Marwan slept through everything like a rock. Legendary, I thought to myself. Well, heading out of the way, all the way back, I kept reciting prayers. Finally, I reached an area heading towards Juanda. And just like that, without any issues, I found the hotel road easily. It was weird because earlier it felt like the roads were blocked, like something was deliberately messing with me. I parked at the hotel, exhausted. Hey, you're here. You drove really far, Amran, Marwan said as he woke up, without me even shaking him. It was 3 a.m. I had been lost for almost 4 hours. Well, actually, for what should have been a 20 minutes drive from downtown Surabaya, I was lost for 4 hours. That night, I kept everything to myself. Even Marwan had no idea what happened, and even though he was right there in the car with me. Well, Surabaya left a permanent, mysterious memory in my life. But honestly, I still miss Indonesia. And that wraps up tonight's spine-chilling journey on Creepy with Coffee. Well, for tonight's story, there are just slightly changes that I've made. Let me know what you think about this kind of narration that you have listened to. Well, if you have enjoyed these stories and want more creepy encounters to keep you company, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Leave a like, share this episode with your fellow creeps, and if you have your own eerie story to tell, I'd love to hear it. Until the next time, stay safe, stay spooky, and keep your coffee close.